All right, we're live. We are live with my favorite people from the Ronald McDonald House of Durham and Wake. We have Oy and Traci here, as well as Chris. Y'all know Chris from our board.
Hello. Good morning.
We're going to give it a couple minutes while people kind of get on. There is that kind of short delay that happens from Facebook and YouTube. But yeah, we're excited that y'all could be here. Thank you very much. You're the executive director for the Ronald McDonald House, correct?
That is correct.
So he's the big man on campus.
That just means I do whatever anybody tells me to do. If you surround yourself with people smarter than you, then you've got a great organization, and we have a great organization. So I just do my best to stay out of everybody's way.
And Traci, you run the community engagements, correct?
I do. I work with events and community engagement, so I'm on the development team at the house.
Well, we're so happy and thankful that y'all could be here today. We donated to y'all in 2019, and we're looking forward to doing the same in 2020. We chose the Ronald McDonald House because they do great work. They're simply y'all do the work that is necessary to help these children and their families. And I know, Chris, when we visited, you also had such a great experience. What did you think when you visited?
Oh, I was blown away. You know, it's a space that it's really amazing that the team there is able to maintain such a positive atmosphere, positive vibe, and they help keep me from getting too emotional because it's just when you're dealing with children, they're just so sweet and so innocent, and they're fighting and battling, and even them, they kind of just have a, you know, what's going on, what's next? You know, I'm fighting, and they're not really as worried about it, but you know, it's such a warm environment there, and anybody who knows a little bit about, you know, recovery, you understand how important it is to have that type of love and support, and that whole environment there, and the energy of the staff and the place. Probably one of my favorite things. I don't know if I'm going to give away like a secret, but you know, families that stay there are allowed to paint a ceiling tile with you know, something important from them or a memory or something like that. And as you walk through the entire building, they're just everywhere, and you see the different ones, and some of them just hit you. And it took a lot just to maintain composure and stay in the moment and you know, enjoy the presentation versus just being like, man, there's some serious work going on here. But it's really amazing, and we certainly enjoyed the presentation, and we're happy to donate to your organization. Is doing phenomenal work.
It was it definitely captured us. It captured us in our hearts because you know, and it's not like they're there for 3 nights. They're there for an extended period of time. And I know y'all are going to get a little bit about how, but you know, if you could kind of introduce yourselves, you know, tell us, you know, what you do, you know, how you got started at the Ronald McDonald House, and you know, how it works. That would be awesome. So.
Great. Traci, you go first.
Sure. So I'm the director of events and community engagement at the house, and I've been there about 5 years. What I always share with people is, despite what our families and kids are going through, it is surprisingly a very happy and joyful place. When you walk in, there's incredible energy, and you guys have seen that when you've been, but just the volunteers bustling around, making meals, cleaning the house and keeping it sanitized, the families coming in and out are just so grateful and appreciative of what we're there for. And just watching them on their journey and helping them be a part of that is just an amazing experience. And I'm very, very fortunate to be on the staff there and work with the development team. So thank you guys for having us today, and we're excited to share more with your folks about the house.
Great. Thanks, Trace. I can't believe you've been with us for 5 years. That's amazing.
It feels like yesterday. It really does.
It just seems like yesterday you were interviewing with us and had a coughing fit.
I did.
Yeah, she walked in the room, and those of us who were interviewing her, we knew immediately that she was the one that was going to help us move forward as an organization. And we were just talking, and she just swallowed wrong and had this 6-minute coughing fit that we still laugh about.
Today that would have been extra bad. During COVID, that would have been really, really bad.
Well, my name is Osterkamp, and I've been at the Ronald McDonald House for 8 years. And just like Chris said, when I was interviewing for the position 8 years ago, my wife and son and I went to the Ronald McDonald House just to kind of get to know it a little bit better. And I walked through the halls and I looked up at those ceiling tiles, and it's kind of like our Sistine Chapel, if you will. Our ceilings are full of stories of these families that have shared some of their medical adventure with us. And it still gets me just to even talk about it, because when I saw them for the first time, I couldn't speak. I got so emotional. And my wife will tell you that if I can't talk, something big is going on. And it hit my heart in a way that nothing else has ever hit before. And to this day, 8 years later, when our guest families who have stayed with us after their child gets well and goes home, or sometimes when the story doesn't end like the family wants to, and through the years, they continue to come back just to see us and to see the tile that they created, because it was such an integral moment in their family. It's really a powerful, powerful thing. So my wife says I jump out of bed every day to go to work, and she's exactly right, because these to be able to work with the folks I work with, people like Traci and the rest of our team, and to get to know and to serve our guest families like we get to do every day is really a blessing.
Well, I mean, you said it better.
Purpose, like your entire day is just so purposeful, right? Like it's not even about work or a check or anything. It's like you're really doing some great work that matters, like it truly matters. I'm kind of jealous. I need to find my purpose.
Well, don't be jealous, Chris, because we can't do what we do for our guest families without people like you doing what you're doing for us. We're all in this together. You're just as much a part of our team as Traci or anybody else, because we're all in this together helping these guest families.
Yeah, appreciate it. Throwing a little bit of lob there. We'll take it.
Well, I believe could y'all talk a little bit about how the Ronald McDonald works for the people that don't know?
Absolutely. At Ronald McDonald House, we believe that no child and their family should sleep in their car or the waiting room of the hospital while they're going through a serious illness. How we do that is provide a place for the families to stay, food for them to eat, and support from us and the other guest families that are staying there, so they can concentrate on the one thing that they want to be concentrating on, and that is the health and well-being of our child. Our particular houses are a little different. Right now, our organization has a Ronald McDonald House in Durham, a Ronald McDonald House inside of Wake Med in Raleigh, and we also have 2 programs called family rooms that are inside the children's hospitals at Duke and at Wake Med. And those family rooms allow the families to stay with their child in the hospital and have a place to go take a shower, get something to eat, get online, do laundry, that kind of thing. But they can just stay steps away from their child whenever they want to do that. As the child enters a different phase of their illness, and these kids that I'm talking about that we take care of, every Ronald McDonald House has a different cohort of children that they take care of based on what the hospital is known for. For us at Duke and Wake Med, we have a lot of trauma kids that have accidents and stuff. And then we also have a lot of bone marrow transplant, organ transplant, rare brain cancers, things like that at Duke, where these families' local hospital has done everything they can for their child. And Duke says, hold on a second, give us a chance. And so they come to us from all over the state, all over the country, all over the world. Every year we serve about 1,000 families. Over 19,000 family night stays in our 2 Ronald McDonald houses. In the 2 family rooms, we serve between 30 and 35,000 people a year that are there for their children.
Wow.
It's amazing.
And some of these stories are incredible. We call them Ronald McDonald House miracles, because a lot of the families that stay with us, it's like I said, this is their last chance. And we serve about 1,000 families a year. On average, we lose, unfortunately, a child every 10 days. So we lose between 45 and 50 kids a year. Losing one child is horrible, as you well know. But when you look at it in perspective, we serve 1,000 families who come to us with very little hope. That tells you the power of the healthcare system today, that and all of the modern techniques that the doctors have. There are miracles happening every single day. And so, like when you guys were out there and you were talking to the kids, and they're just happy kids. They just happen to be sick. And we hear it all of the time, that the Ron McDonald House is the favorite place to come for these kids, because it's the only place where they're just like everybody else. They're not known as the sick kid. They're just another kid. And so they get to be themselves. And something that's a little unusual with ours is that a lot of times, over half of the families staying with us, the child who is being treated for the illness is actually staying at the Ronald McDonald House too. They're not in the hospital, because some of these bone marrow transplants and organ transplants and treatments for the rare brain cancers can take months. In fact, we have a family that has stayed with us for almost 2 years now, because this wonderful young 14-year-old does not have kidneys. And she is waiting for the opportunity for not a kidney transplant, but just to get a kidney, because right now they have to get up at the crack of dawn and go over to the hospital and go through this process, including dialysis, just so she can continue until she gets a kidney. And we allow them to stay 5 minutes away from the hospital, so they don't have to drive an hour and a half every day back and forth to go to the hospital. And that is what we do each and every day. And we're open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and have been for over 40 years. So that gives you a little bit of insight of what and how we do things. You really don't understand, though, until you actually hear one of the family stories for yourself. So I would love to show this video that explains why we do what we do, and it will give you a little bit more insight of what Ronald McDonald House is all about.
Definitely.
That our lives have meaning, and that we all love stories. We're born for them. Stories affirm who we are. We all want affirmations that our lives have meaning, and nothing does a greater affirmation than when we connect through stories.
I wasn't scared the day he was born.
Was the sickest baby on the floor in the unit out of like 82 babies they can hold.
We have the choice, do everything or do nothing. I want to give him a chance.
Try to put downward pressures, I feel like.
I didn't want false hope. Like, please be honest with me. How is he really doing? I pulled one of the doctors aside. He says, let me just tell you that the numbers are all against Francis.
Some days you can handle everything in front of you, and then there was a few days that you couldn't handle what was happening. one of our primary nurses gave us a stack of markers and said, why don't you draw something bright and colorful on his whiteboard, something to make it feel more like home. So we had my sister Janie draw a Finding Nemo theme on the whiteboard.
It brought a smile to everybody on that floor who was working that day.
Everybody loves Finding Nemo. He was really not doing well. And so I asked for some extra prayers, and sure enough, they came flooding in.
Yeah, the crazy part of the whole Finding Nemo theme, super random. One day, Maureen's brother sent us a TED Talk.
I remember just being like, okay, cool, TED Talk, thank you. And at first, I didn't know who Andrew Stanton was.
We realized, oh, Andrew Stanton, the guy from Pixar, the creator and writer of Finding Nemo, and the other awesome Pixar films that I love. It wasn't until the very end of his TED Talk that absolutely blew my mind.
When I was born premature. That I came out much too early, and I wasn't fully baked. I was very, very sick. And when the doctor took a look at this yellow kid with black teeth, he looked straight at my mom and said, he's not going to live.
All of a sudden, Maureen and I are looking at each other like in tears, realizing that, wow, it's amazing, it's amazing that he too was a preemie.
It was really inspiring hearing his story and how much he's amounted to and how much thankfulness he has towards his parents for giving him the chance of life, ultimately.
I was in the hospital for months. I lived. Whatever I ended up being good at, I would strive to be worthy of the second chance I was given.
A month later or so, my brother, who sent the TED Talk, called us from California. He had just got off the plane. And he said, guess who I sat next to? Andrew Stanton. My brother showed him some pictures and kind of told him about Francis. And then before the plane ride was over, Andrew Stanton handed my brother a piece of paper that said, to Francis William, just keep swimming.
And I can only imagine the great things that Francis would be doing later on in his life.
You want Francis to spoil When life gets you down, you know what you gotta do? What you gotta do? Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. What do? We swim, swim. Just keep swimming, and that's what Francis did. He just kept swimming throughout the NICU, and he continues to just keep swimming and thriving. You want to give him a chance?
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah.
So this video is one that I show a lot. I've shown it to kindergartners and I've shown it to retirees, and everybody loves it. But my favorite story about showing this video is that one day we had the field hockey coach from Duke come over to the house for a tour. And she's amazing. She's got so much energy and passion. She's an incredible coach, and wanted to get her team involved at the house. So she came over for a tour, and Owie sat her down in his office, and she watched this movie, and they were big tears, like bigger than normal tears. And she looked at Owie and she said, "I was born in that hospital." And it was just like this like incredible moment of connection with her. And she's been a big supporter of the house ever since.
Yeah, I do remember it. Yep.
Remember that, Owie?
I mean, why? So Traci, why did you decide? I mean, I heard about your coughing fit interview, but what made you? What was the catalyst for you?
I've always been in the nonprofit sector from day one. I graduated from Meredith College and got a degree in public history, which is nonprofit studies and management. And this is what I've always done. And I'd been in a role in another position for many years and was ready for a change. And when I remember applying for the job and my husband was like, "In Durham?" I said, "In Durham." And I knew the minute I walked into that house, it felt like home. I knew it was where I was supposed to be. And it's just a feeling that you get, a connection that I had. And it's been the best 5 years of my life professionally. And just that carries over into your personal life. You know, if you're happy in what you do every day, then that is very much a part of who you are. So it's an amazing place. The culture there is incredible. Owie is an amazing leader. We try very hard to be a top 5 team in everything we do, and that culture is a part of everything. Everything that we do, we try to do top 5. And even though you can't really measure that, it's just a mentality. So it's been by far the best decision I've made professionally. And it's, like you said, Chris, you have purpose every day. It's very rewarding. It's very fulfilling. And to see those kids, grow and get better and come back and visit, and to understand what a big part we were of their lives is also very meaningful. So
I remember walking in, and when you've never been to a cancer hospital, or you've never walked into a place and you've seen people that are sick, not really sure what to expect. But I remember walking in, and the staff, I'll never forget the staff. And you're right, he must be an amazing leader, because the staff smiles on their faces. They walk up and just so thankful for everybody that's involved. And that's rare, because a lot of times people work and it's a job. They show up, they do what they got to do, and then they leave and go back to their lives. But their lives are actually helping people, and it's captured with everything. I remember the Christmas decorations to when you gave us the tour and you showed us the panels on the ceiling that Chris talked about, to when you had the kitchen and you had all the snacks and the food for everybody, and then to the pantry that y'all have, and people can go shopping and take it. It's amazing.
Right. Could y'all talk about some of those things, if you could more or less give people like a little virtual mini tour of like kind of what the day is like? You guys, I know you had scheduled events and you have people hosting and you had the cooked meals. I know if we have time for that. I mean, I don't know
I just want to, I appreciate all the kind words, and I'm not saying what I'm about to say is not in a self-deprecating fashion. It is just a truthful fashion. And that is that I appreciate all of the kind words about my leadership. But the truth of the matter is, I do surround myself with people that are much more talented than I am. And my role is to help them be who they have always been designed and built to be. They have just not been given a chance before. And my role literally is to try to remove barriers that are keeping them from being their total awesomeness. Whenever we are hiring for a position, the number one thing that I'm looking for by far is, do they fit our culture? Because we have a unique culture. The second thing that we look for is, do they have strong critical thinking skills? Because we have 100 different decisions that need to be made every day. and people need to feel confident enough in who they are and what they're doing to be able to make those decisions. And they also need to feel comfortable enough that if they mess up, it's going to be okay. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. And it's that way when you're learning how to dance. Nobody comes in and dances wonderfully the first time. Well, maybe you did, Matt. I don't know.
Absolutely not. I was atrocious.
But it's that way with our team. And what is fascinating is I believe that there is a huge similarity in what we do and what you guys do. What we do is a rhythm. We're all dance. Our whole team is one dance team, because every single thing we do for every single family, everybody on our team touches it in some way, and everybody has the same amount of responsibility, no matter whether it's Traci leading the team in planning an event, or whether we're doing our annual audit, or whether we are reconstructing our front entrance. Everybody is involved. And to your point, Chris, our community is just as involved. We have over, how many volunteers is it, Traci?
A year?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's thousands.
The thousands. Yeah. Like over 8,000 volunteers a year touch us in some way. And we are totally community supported. You know, we are the Ronald McDonald House. And so obviously we are McDonald's charity of choice, but McDonald's does not totally fund us. And we wouldn't want it that way. They strongly support every Ronald McDonald House around the world. And they're close to 400 Ronald McDonald Houses in over 40 countries. So
awesome.
You know, they do lots of stuff, but we are primarily customer supported, people like you guys that want to help us make a difference. And they do that through various means. To answer Chris's question, we have volunteers who have a 3-hour shift every week, and they sit at our front desk, and they are kind of like our vice presidents of first impression. And everything that happens in there, they're the first people to touch it. And then we have people that come in and prepare and serve meals. We have people that come in and help our amazing housekeeping team keep our house clean and sanitary. We have people come in to help decorate. We have people come in that sing. We have people that come in and play music for our guest families, sometimes with them. And we have people come in to do art projects. We have people that come in and completely transform our community room into a spa. And the parents come in and they get their nails done, they get their hair done, they get massages. I mean, hair, the eyebrow threading thing, which that would be really good for you, Chris. I don't know. Maybe you want to try that next time we set that up. But anything that we can do to provide a little happiness and take a little bit of stress off of these guest families, the community is there to help us do that. And it is an amazing rhythm to be a part of.
I think there's a lot of times big organizations, and we think of them as providing all these things, but what really makes the difference is the individual experiences and the individual help that you give like one person. And I think that's where y'all do a great job, is like, well, you have a patient and their family that needs help. You have somebody there they need a shoulder to cry on. Like you can't replace those. You can't place the little things with just some big conglomerate. And that's one thing I really appreciate about the Ronald McDonald House, because you're so detail oriented and so careful for the patient and their family.
Yeah. Well, one of our basic premises is that there are no little things.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I would be remiss if I didn't point out the irony in Oe trying to declare himself, I'm not that great of a leader, and then literally define what great leadership means, which is to serve your people. Like, that's the whole point. If you're not in a mentality of service, then you're not a leader, period. So it's very, I appreciate the humility and the, self-deprecation, but all you did was further reiterate the point. we appreciate I'm sure your staff appreciates you as well.
Can we do this every Saturday? I mean, I'm just wondering.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah, I do recall during the visit as well. Like you guys even have, for kids that need to learn, you guys had things set up for them for that. You had an area that was for any religious needs that people had. They had like a prayer room, and then also like I want to say like a little mini chapel area. And even because of the care, the sensitivity of the care that a lot of your guests are going to have, you also had a lot of upfits for, the ventilation system and, a lot of the cleanliness to ensure that the environment is conducive for these types of treatments that people are having to face. So it's really a well-appointed facility. And even the suites that the families stay in, like they're very nice accommodations. Like this is not it doesn't feel like charity in the sense of, it's the minimum, people are giving the minimum. It's a really phenomenal facility that I would probably live better there than I live at my own house. Like,
yeah, we hear a lot of people when we're giving tours say that our suites are bigger than the apartments that they live in, because each of our suites has 2 double beds. It has a living area with a couch that also folds out to a double bed, their own kitchen, their own washer dryer, and their own bathroom. And to your point about the ventilation system, Chris, the inside air goes out. So every suite has its own separate ventilation system. So if a child has a compromised immune system, it kind of helps them regenerate their immune systems in a very helpful way.
So with I am curious. So how has kind of, COVID's been a big thing that's kind of swept the nation. It's affected a lot of things. Because of the way your facility is designed, were you guys probably able to pivot and deal with it a little bit better than maybe our average organizations? Or
well, cancer didn't get the memo about COVID, and so the kids are still getting sick. A mandate came down from Ronald McDonald House Charities of Chicago that as of March 28th. We had to take a hiatus on accepting new guest families until this COVID situation kind of subsided a bit.
I'm sure that was tough.
But we were still full, so the families who were with us could stay. So as the months have passed, as the families have been able to go home, we haven't been able to welcome a new guest family to take their place. And that's just the way it is. And then we've also got protocols in place where every time somebody enters the house for any reason, they have to get their temperature checked and use hand sanitizer and wash their hands, etc. We also have not been able to have any in-house volunteers since April. All of our events have had to be virtual. We have not been able to have any in-person events. And I think a little bit later on, Traci's going to talk about our event coming up next Thursday. And so, yes, we have had to do some things differently. And, you talk about irony, Chris. Our tagline for Ronald McDonald House is keeping families close. The whole world is about social distancing.
Yeah.
And so every piece of hospitality that we focus on has had to be recalibrated and re-strategized. But because we are still committed to those families who are staying with us to feel that love that you guys were talking about, we just have to do it in a different way now. And you're right, we have had to pivot, but we have not stopped.
Yeah, well, I certainly know that's probably been tough for y'all to have to not continue to take care of, new families. Because I know the need has, like you said, cancer didn't get the memo, so the need hasn't stopped. So hopefully, that gets alleviated soon and you guys can get back to business and operating at full capacity.
It already has. 2 weeks ago, we got word from Global that we're allowed to start welcoming guest families again. We just have to do it in small pods. And so I kind of feel sorry for our new guest families now because they're getting all this pent up love we've been wanting to show for a while. And it's like, okay, I just need a little privacy now. Please leave me alone.
We're like, what would you like for dinner? Filet mignon? You know, lobster, anything.
The hugs are a little tighter and a little longer.
That's
Bring
right.
brownies at midnight.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I know I'm pretty much over COVID. I wish it would go,
Yes.
wherever it came from, go on back. We don't need you anymore.
Nope.
We've all learned a lot of lessons about, whatever, there's some silver linings here, but for the most part, we're ready to move forward in life.
Yeah. And for us, one of those silver linings is that, how COVID has disrupted everybody's lives. It has totally turned everything we do upside down.
Absolutely.
And our guest families are telling us, now you're getting a little glimpse on what our lives are like every single day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it has added yet another level of empathy that helps us connect even more with our guest families.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a big silver lining for the nation and the world at large is what are the priorities? And all of a sudden we realize, okay, maybe some of these other things we were prioritizing maybe aren't so much
Right.
anymore.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I know I've personally learned that is to maybe slow down a little bit in the day, and that maybe I can push it to tomorrow. Life will be all right. You can relax and enjoy life. It's kind of that journey mentality. Make sure you enjoy the journey and you don't arrive to the end of it, the end state, and didn't enjoy it along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think we have a question from somebody in the audience.
Okay.
So do you have any memories or experiences that stand out since you've been there?
Wow. How much time do we have?
24 more minutes.
Yeah, every child that comes to us has their own story, but there are some children that just reach a place in your heart, and each of us on our team have different ones. And I think the biggest thing for me is kind of touching on what you just said, Matt. It's about perspective. I've got a 12-year-old son, and it's a blessing and a curse for him that I do what I do, because he gets a little more leeway than a lot of kids do, because I'm just so grateful for how healthy he is. On the other hand, he can't complain about anything. I'm like, really, dude? I mean, that's the best you got? Let me tell you about, and he's like, okay, I get it. And so it's a blessing and a curse for him. But I think the biggest memory for me is what you just said, and that is perspective. We marinate in it every day, and it affects every relationship that we have. What do you think, Traci?
Yes, I would agree with that. You always kind of, being there almost 5 years, there are children that I just immediately was like, connected to, and their stories and their journeys and their parents, and those people will always have a special place in my heart. But I remember the spring after I started, I got a call from a teacher at Green Elementary in Raleigh, and she was very sweet, and she said that as part of their economics class, their 5th grade class started a coffee cart. And every morning, as a part of their project, they had this little cart. They would push coffee around the classroom or around the school and sell coffee to all the teachers. And they wanted to give the proceeds to the Ronald McDonald House. And she wanted to know if I would come to the school and pick up the check. And I said, absolutely. So I get there. It was an early spring day, and we did the check presentation outside. And those kids brought me this beautifully decorated art project of a check, and it was $3,000. And I lost my words. I was so emotional. I couldn't speak. And they all came up and gave me a hug. And I have a picture of that day. And it was always it was the first time that I had seen so much love, something so small as a cup of coffee, that turned into this check, and these kids coming together, and just to see that whole process was just one of my best experiences ever at the house. So, and those things happen all the time. We talk about the Ronald McDonald House miracles, and they happen every day, and they're all over the place, from, I don't know, just little small things to very big things. So they happen a lot. Yep.
And we had a family come in. Their little boy needed a heart transplant, and so they stayed with us for several months. They were from Eastern North Carolina, and they left. And 6 months later, had to come back for a follow-up visit, and the dad asked if he could talk to me. And he said, I just got to tell you, he said, he's an African-American gentleman. He said, I've had a really hard life, and I've had a lot of hatred build up in my heart because of some of the things that I've experienced and some of the things that I've always believed. And being here at the Ronald McDonald House changed my life. He said, when my wife and I got home, everything has been different with our relationship. Everything has been different with our relationship with our community. We both now have different jobs where we can give back. And it just really affected him deeply. And that has just meant a lot to all of us.
And I think as a parent yourself, you see every day, I get there in the morning and you watch this mom walk in so tired because she was up all night to get a cup of coffee, stumbling through the dining room. And, as a parent you get, there's lots of things going on before COVID. And even now, you've got school, you've got to pack the lunch, the water bottle, the soccer practice, the homework. It can starts to wear you down a little bit. And then you see what these parents are going through, and they're the real heroes because they're showing up every single day to be there for their children, and they're holding on to hope. And it's like Owie said with his son Oren, like it just really puts everything into perspective on a daily basis. And these parents are the real heroes. They really are.
Yeah, we have a question from the audience. So they want to know, how can we get involved during COVID, and then after we get a vaccine, how also can we get involved?
Okay, Traci, you want to take that?
Sure. That's a great question. We have, even though our volunteer involvement has changed, I will say, not stopped during COVID. Prior to COVID, we had volunteer groups come in every single night and cook food for 55 people in the house. And that we had to change because volunteers are now not allowed to come into the house. But what we're doing is we're allowing these groups to kind of pivot and fund deliveries to the house for the families. So I know that in October, we're still looking for some groups to volunteer to help support that initiative to get the meals covered for the month of October. We have a volunteer manager who is really good at his job and a lot of fun. You guys might have met him when he was on your tour, Clay. You don't forget him if you've met him.
Yeah, really.
He's like orchestrating this amazing, way to get food into the house with all of the volunteers that we've had. So my suggestion is to email him if you want to support us that way. His name is Clay, and his email is, I don't know if we can put this up on the screen maybe later, but it's clay@rmhdurhamwake.org. And I'll pop that in the comment section so we can share that later. But he's the best person to talk to. We also have an Amazon list on our website, and that is where most of our current needs are for supplies for the house. Our director of operations, Katie, is awesome, and she's constantly checking to see what we need and getting those items loaded on our Amazon wish list. And it's great because you can just hop on there and everything gets sent straight to the house. So if you just go to our website and ways to help, there's a wish list section, and the Amazon link is there as well. So those would be the top two needs right now that we have. Owie, did I miss anything?
Yeah. Can she change that email to clay@rmhdurhamwake?
Yes.
She left the WAKE off .org. Try that. There you go.
There you go. Awesome.
Thank you, Nancy. And so you said email Clay, and then also the Amazon wish list.
Yep, those are the two best ways to engage with us right now. And then once we move into the future and COVID lifts over time, we'll have some more opportunities for folks as well.
You also mentioned that you have an event coming up. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that, and we can go
Sure.
through it.
So every fall we have an event called Hope Durham, and we have another event called Hope Raleigh. And that event we've held for the past 8 or 9 years. It's a huge fundraising event for the house. So we, like everybody else, have had to realign ourselves with the virtual world of events, and we are hosting our very first virtual fundraiser next Thursday, October 1st. It is from 9 to 9 a.m. and we are inviting folks to hop online. There will be many inspiring stories from our families. There'll be some incredible testimonies from folks, some really powerful videos and music. It's going to be just a motivating morning for anybody that can be with us. So we're just encouraging people to grab a cup of coffee and sit down and spend 30 minutes with us. And you can register ahead of the event. It is free to register. There is no charge whatsoever. But if you go to our website, it's right there. Yep. You can hop on where it says Hope Rising, and it'll take you to the registration link. And you just register, and we will email you the day before to remind you, but the event will be on our website. So if you lose your registration link and don't know where to go the morning of, if you just go to our website, we will direct you to the right place. It's going to be fantastic. So we are asking folks to be a ray of hope and spend some time with us on Thursday morning.
Sounds good. I definitely plan on registering right as soon as we get off of this. And so I hope everybody watching do the same, because the Ronald McDonald House near and dear to our hearts. And so I hope after listening to, them talk about, all the amazing work that they do, you will as well. Do we have any other questions from the comments? I know we just have a couple minutes left. So,
well, I had one quick. Well, let me, you guys go ahead.
It's a great question. So what kind of things do you do to ensure the children have a somewhat normalcy during their stay at RMH?
Yeah, well, I think, Chris touched on this a little while ago. We actually have, there are only about 6 Ronald McDonald houses in the world that have this, but we're one of them. And we have a school inside of our Ronald McDonald House.
Oh, wow.
And, that's one of the, whenever my son complains about school, I tell him about how excited our kids at the Ronald McDonald House are to actually be able to have that normal part of their life. But here's what's really cool about it. The teachers in that school connect with the school that the child is used to attending. And so they can continue the curriculum that they're used to while they're staying with us. So when they get better and go home, they can go right back to school with their friends. And if you're out of school for a year, just think, if you're a kid, you get better, you're excited, and you go home, but all of a sudden you're a grade behind your friends. There's nothing fun with that. So what our classroom does is it allows them to keep up. So that part of their normal lives continues to be normal when they go home.
Yep. There's our Nancy popping up with some more information. Nancy works with us at the house. She's our fierce leader in development. But one of the things that I wanted to mention earlier is that we have therapy dogs that come in a lot. And for a child that's had their life turned upside down and had to come to Duke Hospital and leave their family dog at home, to have the opportunity to just sit in the living room and cuddle with a pet is really a great way to provide some normalcy for them. Our therapy dogs are interviewed. Clay loves when he gets to interview therapy dogs, and they're all certified. So there's another volunteer opportunity. If any of you ever have certified therapy dogs, we're always looking for folks to bring them over. So not right now, of course, but later on. But that is a huge thing for those kids to have every night to look forward to.
I think we have a couple people in the community with therapy dogs too. So we'll definitely have to share their information.
Yep.
But yeah, we actually have, this is Ray is one of the dance instructors, and so he wanted to say that this is amazing, and he really appreciates all the work that y'all do.
Thanks for the kind words, Ray. Appreciate it.
maybe we'll see Ray when we do our dance night, right?
There you go. That sounds good.
I know for the COVID kind of put a pause on that, but hopefully we can as soon as everything kind of blows over and we turn back to normalcy, we can still do our dance night at the Ronald McDonald House. But is there any final things y'all want to say to the community?
Well, you are our community, Matt and Chris, and we just thank you guys so much for caring so much about our guest families and helping us take care of them.
Well, we appreciate y'all. I mean, because at the end of the day, y'all are the ones that are making the dreams happen for these children and their families. I mean, I had cancer as an adult, and I couldn't imagine having it as a child. I really couldn't. And worse off, I couldn't imagine being a parent having to watch my child go through that. It would absolutely break my heart. It breaks my heart just imagining it. Right. So y'all are our strength. So thank you.
I think a thought that just occurred to me is, hearing you explain to one of the questions, it's nice to have an organization that just seems to get it right. Like, there's so much opportunity and possibility in the world, and you guys really seem to have struck a chord, and you're really getting it done and getting it done right. And there's just something to say for that. Like, it's huge. It's huge. Like, there's not many things that you can really stake in and just be like, this is 100% solid. And I really do feel that way about your guys' organization, the way you do business, the mentality, the effort, the energy. I mean, it's really a phenomenal organization.
Thanks, Chris. That means a lot.
That does mean a lot. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. We're so happy that you guys were interested in working with us. And it's really, really awesome. We look forward to every time we get to interact with you guys.
Ray wants to say servant-driven leaders. So you put your people.
And one other thing I was thinking of earlier when we were talking about kids, but I think probably one of the beautiful things that your organization gets to experience is really understanding what kids really are. I feel like as a nation, as a world, as just overall, like, we really kind of missed the mark on, kids are kind of these, for lack of a better term, they're just this responsibility, and they're this thing that you always got to keep up with. But they're so full of love and inspiration and hope. And they're so, like, when you describe, and what made me think of it was you talking about the check and the kids. They're just kids being kids, right? They didn't consciously say, well, what do I need to do to make this woman, they just were being themselves, and they're just so free flowing and so loving. And even the way they handle the afflictions that they're facing, I'm sure for you guys, your knowledge of children at this point has to be just like, they're really phenomenal and really worthy of appreciation and love and the effort that you guys are putting in.
But something else though, Chris, adults as well. One of the things that is really awesome to see is the friendships that develop inside of our house from people who society, with all of the divisiveness that's going on right now, all the stuff that really doesn't matter, is completely stripped away. And these people become dear friends and love each other because of the things that they have in common, not the things that they're trying to find that are different.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And one quick story about that is we had a professional golfer from California stay with us for a year. And there was another family staying with us, and the dad was a part-time mechanic. They lived down in South Florida. They never, ever would have interacted ever.
Right.
And they became so close that when this professional golfer's family went home, they had stayed with us for so long, they had to get a U-Haul and drive across country. They swung by South Florida on the way to California just to see their friends.
Yeah.
And, the world could use a little dose of that.
We're truly connected. Like, it's not there's science behind it, but the experience that we're so connected. And I think your organization really taps into that and makes that very clear to people. And it's pretty awesome. I got to say, I'm definitely a little bit jealous that this is what you get to enjoy every day.
Well, thank you both for being a part of this, for coming on, spending your Saturday talking with us. We greatly appreciate it. One last thing is, if you want to, please go attend Hope Rising. It's on Thursday, October 1st, starting at 9 a.m. You can go to their website. Please register. Please go to the Ronald McDonald House. You'll have a Facebook page. Like their Facebook page. They'll have a YouTube and Instagram as well. Please check that out. We, as an organization, love the Ronald McDonald House and look forward to continuing our partnership. So please check them out. If there's anything else, then I think that's it.
Great.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Have a great weekend. Take care.